Hey builders, it's Corey. Today we're going to be talking about the wet palette, what it is, and how to make one. What's a wet palette and why do you need one? I, like many people, started off my painting journey with a standard dry palette, little containers to hold the paint, but found out very quickly that no matter how much paint I put in this little pot, it dried up very shortly after I started using it. And it gave me very limited options as far as blending goes. So I decided to go with a flat palette. The flat palette gave me a lot more blending options, but it made my drying problem even worse because I was spreading the paint out over a larger surface area, exposing even more of it to the air. And that's where the wet palette comes in. The wet palette keeps your paints moist for long periods of time, hours, sometimes even days, and it gives you plenty of room to blend and be able to add moisture to your paint right on the palette. So these two paints I put on here yesterday, and they're still plenty usable. So we'll get a little bit of green here, pull it out. If you want to add moisture right on the palette and thin it out. Gives you a nice thin glaze. If you need more paint, add more paint to make lines. And then you can do the same thing with your black. If you want more of a wash, you put it off to the side here. To your wash. Okay, dry your brush off a little bit. You want a thicker line. See? Works great. And those paints were put on there yesterday. This diagram shows how the wet palette works, and the thickness of the hydration pad will depend on how humid your environment is. Now that you've seen how they work, let's go make one. The first thing you'll need is a container. I picked up this container at my local department store for around $5. I ended up going with the one that had two sides in it. I'll explain that more later. This particular one has good seals, and it has a nice deep lid. The next thing you'll need is something for your hydration level. I went with felt. I purchased it at the same store for around 50 cents. You can also use kitchen towel. I just like the felt because it's a little thicker and I don't have to use as many layers. I trimmed the felt to fit the lid, making sure to dock the corners, and then repeated for a second layer. I then added water to the felt, pressing out air bubbles as I went. You just keep adding water until it won't hold anymore, and then pour off the excess. Now this is the most important part of our whole build, parchment paper. You can't use wax paper, it has to be parchment paper. I bought this at the same department store for about $3. You're going to want to trim this to slightly smaller than the container size, as the paper tends to expand slightly when exposed to water. The paper will probably curl when you add it. Just go ahead and give it a flip and add some more water. And then you want to work your way from edge to edge, adding water and smoothing out the surface, trying to work out all the air bubbles. Now, you can stop right here and use it how it is, or you can be like me and be a little extra. This is how I used to clean my brushes. Swish it around a little bit and leave it in the cup for a while. It is so bad for your brushes, but not anymore. This new wet palette is going to have a dedicated proper brush cleaner. I found this silicone scalp massager at my local $1.25 store, and this will be perfect for cleaning our brushes and bringing them to a point right there at the table. Let's give it a little test run. Go ahead and clean our brush. Nice twisting motion against the spikes to make the point. Dry it off on the corner. Good to go. And when you're all done painting for the day, dump your old water, place the lid back on, lock it in place, and it's good to go until next time.
All of the time we spent together in our prime, we were